This video is powered by, as always, entertainment. If you enjoyed this content, consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/asalways for access to the Patreon exclusive podcast, The Kill Connor Clubhouse, early access to the Cinema Room podcast, being part of polls for future videos, and other early access material. With that said, please enjoy the video. The Game Awards. What a magical time of year. It's purple and therefore so's the room. Nice and purple. Like I did last year, if you remember. That's quite literally the colour of the Game Awards website. Beautiful. Wow, that doesn't look like it was a year ago, does it? That wasn't from 2016, 17. No, it was 2018. Why do I look like a 4-year-old? It must be the beard. I think that must be what it is. There's no way I actually look older, because that's impossible. I don't age. But I thought this year we'd do the same thing. Granted, this year doesn't have as many games, but I thought we'd do it anyway. Might be fun. I haven't played most of them. What was nominated last year? Was it like Spider-Man, God of War, Red Dead Redemption, fucking Fortnite? I don't know. No, wait, that was Golden Globes, and it won.
I can't wait any longer. Who? Joe won.
And the winner is, for Ultimate Game of the Year, Fortnite Battle Royale.
Alright, so let's go ahead and look at Game of the Year, the category for Game of the Year. There's so many categories, I'm not going to do all of them, I'm just going to do the main one that matters, because you can win every other category, but if you don't win Game of the Year, unfortunately, you're not Game of the Year. That's why God of War is Game of the Year 2018 and Red Dead Redemption is not. What a hard pill to swallow that is for some people.
Alright, and the Game Award for Game of the Year goes to...
Not Red Dead Redemption 2, a mere crime mortars.
Anyway, let's have a look at this list. Number 1 on the Game of the Year list is Control, a game I'm yet to play but really want to, and a game that I'll probably stream at some point. There was a leak or something saying that it was coming to Game Pass, but then apparently it wasn't coming to Game Pass, and that's not true. But if it ever does come to Game Pass, I'll give it a go. If not, maybe sometime before that happens, but I do really want to play Control. From what I saw, it's a really cool fucking game with incredible art direction, intuitive, interesting gameplay, great level design. It looks like a great game. Do I think it'll win Game of the Year? I think it could be in the running, which it is in the running. All of these are. But I don't think it'll win. I think it's too small. The fan base is too small. Even people like me didn't play it. It could be an incredible game, and it could be well deserving a Game of the Year, but I don't think it's going to win purely on the fact that not enough people played it. So, it's a shame, but that's just how it be sometimes, Chief. It's become my new catchphrase. Number 2 is Death Stranding. Now, Death Stranding is a game that I think is fucking fantastic. I know a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people really love it. I don't think there's anyone that's in the middle that's like, yeah, it's okay. It's either you love it or you hate it. And that could drag it back in this year's Game of the Year Awards. And I would have said so last year, had it been in last year's Game of the Year Awards. I would have said, yeah, look, the split fan base is going to drag it back. It's not going to win. But in this category this year, there's not any other games that I see as strong contenders. And I think it's very possible that Death Stranding could take the crown, purely based on every other game in here. It hasn't been a huge year for video games, and although there's been some absolute bangers, like I think every game on this list deserves to be on this list, I don't know if any of these games are big enough to beat out Death Stranding, even with the split fan base. I feel like the people that are in favor of Death Stranding might be more than the rest of these games have fans. I don't know, but I think there's a possibility that Death Stranding could take it, and we'll talk about who will or who will not at the end. Number 3 is Resident Evil 2, the remake from Capcom. Love this game. I thought it was fantastic. I'd never played Resident Evil 2 before, the original, so this was a new experience to me, and I fucking loved it. Now, I hate horror games. I'm not a fan of them. For one, I'm really bad with jump scares, but also, I hate the trope in horror games of continuous, annoying puzzles. Like, I've played Amnesia, I've played Outlast, and it's like, after the initial first hour of like, oh, this is interesting and scary and interactive wears off, then you're left with this game that has you trekking back and forth across this map looking for key cards, avoiding the annoying enemies that are all over the place. It's not fun. Horror games I don't find fun. They're not my kind of thing, but Resident Evil 2 nails it. And it's obviously the game that all of these subsequent games are based upon. trying their best to create this gameplay loop of puzzle after puzzle, continuing the story flowing and pushing you onto new areas, but they don't achieve it in the way that Resident Evil 2 does, and my god, it was quite the experience playing it for the first time. The satisfaction in finishing puzzles when you finally complete a section, you get to the next area, you know, remembering the routes that you need to take, avoiding enemies, having the interaction, obviously you've got your guns and everything as well, finding that, like, all the different collectible items and making sure everything's in the right place, and you know, like, there's 3 things you need to do. It's like, oh, I need to go to this place, and this place, and this place, and I've got these different items that I have, so I'll use that here, that'll allow me to complete that bit, which will give me another item to go to this other place, and, like, you keep it, and then you're like, oh, so I found this, but I need to come back here later, so I'll keep that in the back of my mind, and it's all this, like, micromanaging of not your inventory, but, like, your objectives. Like, you always have, like, multiple things that you know you need to accomplish, and you're, like, managing in your mind, prioritizing which thing do I need to do before this thing, and then when you finally complete a puzzle, you're like, wow, it's so satisfying, and then you move on to the next stage. And there's just something about it that is incredibly captivating, engaging, and satisfying. Not to mention, story's really interesting, it looks gorgeous, it's a brilliant game, and I think this is one of the games that definitely probably should win Game of the Year. Again, I don't think it will, because it's a remake, and to me, I just feel like the audience for this game is too small. It feels like it's a certain segment of gamers that play Resident Evil and will play the Resident Evil 2 remake, whereas mainstream people that are playing all these, you know, mainstream games might have skipped out on Resident Evil 2 or Sekiro or whatever, and might just be playing, you know, the big titles that are published by people like Sony, and that might be why Death Stranding takes it. But I think Resident Evil definitely deserves it if it was to win. I think it's a brilliant game. Next up, we've got Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Haven't played it. Again, there's a few games this year that I've skipped out on. Sekiro is one of them. Another one being Control, and then also Plague Tale, which isn't nominated for Game of the Year, but a lot of people have told me it's absolutely phenomenal, and that's another game I probably need to stream. Sekiro is probably not a game I'm ever going to play, I'm going to be honest, because the Souls games they're not my sort of thing. I don't think... I love challenge, and I love fantasy and things, and I love JRPGs, and it's got elements of all of those, but there's something about the Souls games that aren't for me. I remember on Horsey and Fox, me and George played through the Dark Souls remaster, and, like, I loved sitting there watching him play it. But if I were to have the controller and had to figure out, you know, where do I need to go, keep trekking back through the same area just to be killed and have to do it all again, and then the world is super, like, depressing, which I know it's meant to be, but it doesn't do it for me. Like, something about that is just like, oh god, I don't like the feeling of it. I love challenge. I love challenge, and it's one of the reasons I play, you know, Kingdom Hearts on top difficulties and whatever, is because I love learning attack patterns and just doing the same boss for hours and hours and hours. But there's something about the Dark Souls gameplay that doesn't appeal to me. And I know Sekiro is totally different. I know it's a different gameplay style and it's a different setting and all those things, but it's one of those games that I just don't think I'm ever going to play, to be honest with you. And that's just a me thing. But from what I've heard, it's a really well-made game. It's a great game from Software, and I think it has every right to be in this category. Again, I don't think it'll win because I think it's another one of those very niche games that not a lot of people have played. And I know a lot of people have played it, but then when you put it up against, like, if you were to put it up against a game like Spider-Man or God of War, you know, it's one of those games that the mainstream aren't playing. And so it's, you know, if you go to school or whatever, and, like, I can't imagine if when I was at school, if I'd been like, oh yeah, everyone played the new Dark Souls, they'll be like, no, of course I haven't. What are you talking about? I'm playing Call of Duty, I'm playing FIFA. So I'm sort of talking, you know, the mainstream won't have played it, which leads me to believe it won't get as many votes as maybe it should do. But that's Sekiro. Next up is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. A brilliant game, absolutely fucking love it. But again, I think being up against these other games, these other big titles, that the more of the mainstream are going to play, because Nintendo's got this carved out, this fan base that loves Nintendo games. I fucking love Nintendo games. But I don't think that it reaches the whole market in the way that something like a Death Stranding or, you know, a game like that will do, which leads me to believe that Smash is going to be left behind a little bit with regards to the Game Awards. But again, I love Smash. I think it's a brilliant game, and I still play it now. I just need them to add Sora from Kingdom Hearts. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Go ahead and do that, Nintendo, and I'll play it some more. And the final game on the Game of the Year list is The Outer Worlds from Obsidian and the Private Division. I absolutely love The Outer Worlds so very much. It feels like a return to Bethesda games of old. You know, the old Fallouts, Elder Scrolls. It feels like one of those games. and I absolutely enjoyed my experience with it. From the interesting world that they've built up to the main story so interesting, the fact that your choices genuinely affect things, the amount of different dialogue options, the companions are great. It's a fantastic, well-rounded experience. And if you want to check out my review of that, it will be linked down below or on a card or whatever. Go and check it out. The Outer Worlds, though, however, I've personally the game that I've voted for Game of the Year is the Outer Worlds, because I feel that it's the one out of the ones that I would pick that's got the most chance of winning. If there was any that I would say like I want to win, it would probably either be Resident Evil 2, Death Stranding, or the Outer Worlds. And with Death Stranding having such a split audience, with Resident Evil 2 being very niche, I feel like the Outer Worlds might be the one that has the edge, but I don't know. I feel like all these games are very level pegging in the way that we haven't had a big year for games, and the one big game, if you're looking at it in that sense, is Death Stranding, which has a very split reception. So I think every single game in this list has a large chance of winning the Game of the Year award. I think it could come as a shock. It's either going to be Death Stranding or it's going to come as a shock, because you know, to me, it makes sense that the biggest game of the year being Death Stranding, published by Sony, you know, it's a Kojima game, you know, it's a big game in that sense. It's a high-profile game. It makes sense that will be the one to win the Game of the Year award. So it wouldn't come as a shock in that sense. I do, however, hope that it's something else, because I think it'd be a little bit more interesting if we get, you know, the Outer Worlds to win, or Resident Evil 2, or Control, or something, winning the Game of the Year award. But, I don't know, man. If I had to pick one, I've either got to go with The Outer Worlds or Resident Evil 2 as the two that I would want to win, I think, because both games are games that I thoroughly fucking enjoyed. Basically came out of nowhere as games that I enjoyed, games that I wasn't immensely excited for. I remember when The Outer Worlds was announced, I was looking forward to it because it was Obsidian, but it was never a game that I was constantly excited for. And Resident Evil 2, I didn't even know I really wanted it until I decided to stream it one day, and I played the game, and it was really, really good fun, and I fucking loved it. So those two games are probably the games that I would choose to be the Game of the Year for 2019. It's a shame that this game, the Jedi Fallen Order, didn't come out before, because I probably would have picked that. And it's a shame that this year has not been very big for games. Like last year we had so many games. We had Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, Spider-Man, Detroit Become Human, Kingdom Come Deliverance, and a bunch of other smaller games as well. That it was just such a good year to play games. And I'm sure 2020 will also be another year like that, you know, with things like Cyberpunk. We've got Lego Star Wars coming, The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and whatever else is also coming out next year that we don't know about yet. Potentially a new Arkham game, and Assassin's Creed, Halo Infinite. I think next year is going to be another one of those games where we're getting a bunch of big games, not to mention the launch of next-gen consoles and the exclusives that come with it. So 2020 is going to be an insane year for video games. This year has just been a slightly lesser year, and I think it's good to sometimes have those, to play smaller games, to maybe catch up on games that you haven't played, and just sort of enjoy things rather than being always swept up in the next big thing that's coming out, because last year it was like every month there was something new and big that was coming out. So it's good to have these years sometimes, but it's a bit less of an intense battle, I think, for Game of the Year, because at the end of the day, if any of these games win, I'm pretty happy. Whereas with last year, it was like, look, it's got to be Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War, one of the two, otherwise I'm not going to be happy and I might pull my dick off. So, you know, if one wins, I might pull my dick off too. That was fucking weird. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think is going to win Game of the Year? What do you want to win Game of the Year? What did you vote for? Let me know about the other categories. What do you think about those? That'd be very interesting. And what announcements do you think we're going to be seeing at this year's Game Awards? I'm going to be streaming it, so don't forget to tune into that, subscribe, and hit the notification bell in order to know when I go live with that. It'll be probably about half an hour before the actual Game Awards event goes live, so that'll be a ton of fun, which is the 12th of December in the US in the evening, and the 13th of December in the morning, about 1-2 o'clock in the morning if you're from the UK. So that'll be fun, and that'll be my advent calendar video for that day. This is the advent calendar video for this day, by the way. Merry Christmas. Obviously, I'm going to have something coming tomorrow, and then on the morning of the 13th, it'll be very early in the morning. That'll be my advent calendar video for that day, which will be the archive of the Game Awards stream. So there won't be another proper video that day. You'll have to wait for the 14th. But we're doing well with this, I think, with the advent calendar so far. Doing a video every single day has been, you know, not great for my brain functions and my sanity and my health, but I'm having a good time doing it as well, so that's fun. I got a ton of things in the works, a ton of things I'm going to be doing. It's going to be great, and I'm really appreciating the support I've been getting recently from Star Wars videos, like my Battlefront video, people that are interested in that. I'm going to be doing some more Rise of Skywalker stuff when the Battlefront DLC comes out. That'll be fun, and just the general support I've been getting on the Advent calendar has been really, really cool, that everyone's just been having a fucking good time, and that's been so great to see. It's been really fun to do. So, you know, there's that. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas. I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Advent Calendar, and that's it from me. See you next time. Bye-bye.